Is Vince McMahon returning to the ring? WWE's top earners have been revealed, and the reason why Cody Rhodes was in Orlando has been revealed. Stay tuned. Find out all about it in a bit. Now, why not? Let's just kick off with the most insane thing I've read all morning. And
Sam, I'm praying it's true. Sam, I'm praying it's true.
I can't believe it. Vince McMahon could reportedly be set for an in-ring return. Now, PostWrestling.com are reporting that he will most likely be stepping back into the ring at the age of 76 at WrestleMania 38. Now, McMahon was announced on SmackDown for next Thursday's edition of the Pat McAfee Show, and Post Wrestling are also reporting that this is going to be the program. It's going to be Pat McAfee versus Vince McMahon, and now I'm all about it. I'm all about that. I really want to see it. They said multiple sources informed us that McAfee was set for something on the show, or McAfee, sorry, was set for something on the show involving McMahon. When speaking with a source with knowledge of the situation, and whether it will be billed as an official match on the WrestleMania card, we were told most likely. But yeah, he's 76. 76 years old.
Age is just a number, Sam. He was flying off a ledge in the Performance Center just a couple of years ago, showing Rob Gronkowski to be a massive, massive wuss.
The headbutt from Kevin Owens? Dude, oh my God. Like, Vince is an absolute machine, as we know. Vince could probably still snap me in half over his knee if he wanted to. He's just made of muscle. But if it goes ahead, just interestingly here, it'll be McMahon's first Mania match since Mania 2016-2010 versus Bret Hart, which was, of course, an all-time classic, and his first overall match since squaring off with CM Punk in 2012. So it's pretty huge, that.
Now, when I saw this story this morning, first and foremost, I fell out my chair because I just can't wait to see the potential of Vince McMahon in his jumper vest thingy that he used to wear back in the day,
Bingo
guns
wings.
out, doing Stone Cold Stunners and everything. That is just a prospect I want to see. But then I just sat back and thought about it a bit. And yes, the angle could start on the Pat McAfee podcast this week. Yeah. But surely logic would tell you it would be Austin Theory on behalf of Vince McMahon taking on Pat McAfee.
I think this might be where we end up in some sort of handicap, because Vince is Vince. You know, we've seen this throughout the entire Attitude Era and beyond. I think it'll be a handicap match featuring Vince and maybe Austin Theory against Pat McAfee, or maybe Pat and somebody else. They could tag it. But I think it's a bit wishful for me to think that Vince at 76 is going to be in there like nailing chair shots. And
if he does a 450 slam, 450 Sam, I'm off. I'm gone.
Austin's been teaching him. But speaking of pay-per-views, we're just going to take a look real quick at the World on GCW. Did you watch it, Ross?
I did, yes. I had a fantastic time watching.
I really enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. But it's currently being reported that it performed poorly on TV pay-per-view. Now, the Wrestling Observer newsletter was saying that the World Show at the Hammerstein Ballroom did not do well as a television pay-per-view. It did well for a promotion of its size on FITE. We got figures covering about 23% of the television pay-per-view homes, and based on that, it looks to have only done a few hundred buys nationally. Some systems didn't have it live, and I don't know if Dish, which is a provider over there, even carried them. I think this is just a generational thing, though, me personally. Like, every single person I saw who was watching GCW was watching on FITE. So I think it's more just, TV pay-per-view is a dying medium, I feel, as we move into this on-demand service world. So maybe it's not something to I'd say kind of be like, oh God, and be quite worried about or anything. I think GCW are doing more than okay. They're just going from strength to strength. But yeah, just thought I'd throw that in there just to take a look at it, because it's interesting to see, because we very rarely get any pay-per-view buy figures anymore. So it's just to look at the fact that a show of that size that had a considerable amount of global buzz around it only managed to get a few hundred views. Just shows you how far things are changing.
Imagine as well that the FITE TV deal would have been a lot better than the actual sort of pay-per-view buy, which is obviously something to put people off as well.
This is it, yeah. Sometimes like you can only get pay-per-view in your market, if you can't get access to whatever site, or you don't have access to a VPN, or you can't do X, Y, Z. And in those cases, you have no other choice. But yeah, I mean, oftentimes digital copies of pay-per-views tend to be slightly cheaper. So that also might have been a factor going into it. But just speaking of FITE real quick here as well, apparently FITE lost money last year, and the Observer are reporting that from January through the end of July 2021, they took in $21,939,000 in revenue and posted a 7th-month loss of $7,897,000. So FITE TV, kind of just a bit of a strange situation at the moment, but I don't know, if we can read too much into it at this stage. I don't think FITE appear to be in danger at all. I think that it seems to be just, FITE seems to be the place where everybody watches wrestling now. So
it'd be interesting as well. I see those figures end in July of 2021, and what happened in August of 2021 on FITE TV. It was the return of CM Punk to professional wrestling.
Yeah. So that night, that might be, it might be that we will see a massive uptick from that point onwards. But yeah, I just thought, just off the back of the GCW news, it was quite interesting to also look at, that's a bit strange. But yeah, moving forward though, and keeping it with finances, we're looking at WWE's top earners. Now, apparently, AJ Styles was reported by Fightful to have signed a new 3-year deal at about $3 million a year. That came out quite recently. His 3-year contract signed in 2019 was coming due. If the number is correct, it would put Styles in the top when it comes to money, sort of behind Lesnar, Reigns, Rousey, and Orton, and Edge and Goldberg. You sort of Miz and the guys right underneath the top 4. He's sort of like around there. Owens is apparently believed to be the next highest guy, but if the number is accurate, it would be above. AJ would be getting paid more than Kevin Owens. This is also believed to be one of the reasons AEW didn't bother pursuing AJ Styles as well, which was something that was quite hyped. Like when it came out, it wasn't something that was like known ahead of time, of course, but it slowly started to come out, that AJ was somebody they wanted for AEW. But I think, when we're looking at the contract offers and stuff, it was like when the Cody rumor was sort of floating around, and it's I don't think that's actually a lot of money for a company like WWE, maybe, where you've got, the additional revenue streams, the merchandise, the video games, the, entrance music releases and streams. They've got YouTube. They've got so many things going on that they can recoup revenue from their talent that I think they can just afford to be dropping considerably more on them.
Yeah, and you got to wonder with AEW as well, just the how old they are as a company and just the sheer amount of people they are signing. It is sort of refreshing to see Tony Khan going, you know what, Cody, you want that much money? We just can't afford to give you that. We don't want to give you that. You're not on that level anymore with the likes of Bryan Danielson and CM Punk coming in. So it is refreshing to see that there is sort of like a strategic approach to that. But as you say, I guess revenue opportunities are, a lot more for WWE, and it's just the money going into WWE is a lot more than what AEW
is
are getting.
They've got a bigger share of the market, and it's just how it is when it comes to companies of that size. But just on your point there, it is like quite refreshing and nice in it, because when it was originally announced, it was sort of like when Newcastle got took over, right? It was like, we're the richest club in the world. We can buy every player we want. And it's like, well, you can, or you can actually sit back and manage it properly and build it properly as a business, and I like that they're taking that route. But keeping it with AEW there, just to talk about why they didn't bother pursuing Styles, the Observer are reporting that, as best as they can tell, there were no AEW overtures when contract time was due. When AEW started, the idea, as we were just saying there, was that the final angle on the first show would be Gallows and Anderson and Styles coming out with the Bucks and Omega, and then turning on them to start like the first big feud. But the impression that they got at the time is that Styles wasn't that interested, as he was making the big money in WWE. And at the time, nobody really knew if AEW was going to make it. And then there's also the idea that Styles is one of those guys who will likely be able to just saunter into AEW at any point, even as a wrestler or post-wrestling, because he's going to be somebody who can impart God knows how much knowledge about the wrestling business when he finally chooses to move on.
Yeah, he's 44 years old, I think, as well, and he's made a lot about sort of like his window for doing wrestling being quite narrow and quite, it's the end is nice, some might say, but
he's always said he wanted to be able to comfortably walk away from wrestling, and the key word there was walk, and be able to be healthy.
And to make as much money as he can do in that short window, you can't begrudge him for staying. But he'll get that. Not. He'll get that one match, won't he, against someone, I don't know, like Darby Allin or one of these dream matches. I've
always said I would love it, because there's always been kind of rumors of AJ could be retiring soon, and I would love if he just did a bit of a pit stop world tour It's a lot of me to ask, I know, but if he kind of went back through every territory or like company he's worked with, I think that would be quite nice. Just to kind of have a moment with Ring of Honor, a moment with Impact, and all that. But one last story for the day, and we're bringing you Cody Watch, which, we're going to be just keeping an eye on Cody Rhodes and everything in that situation as it develops. But this news coming from Fightful Select, so thank you to the guys over there for breaking this. But there's obviously been a lot of speculation about Cody Rhodes recently leaving AEW. There was the fact he was going to be in Orlando. A lot of people thought, Orlando Performance Center shooting vignettes for his return. All this is going to be happening, and it all kind of seemed to make a bit too much sense. But as I said, Fightful have the scope. They've got the reason. They know what happened. They're saying that people close to Cody Rhodes are claiming that he was visiting friends in Orlando in order to attend a birthday dinner, not the WWE Performance Center. When Cody was contacted for comment, he reportedly replied that he's a stay-at-home dad now. And yeah, I can't decide whether this is a work or not. I don't know what the hell's happening.
It depends who these friends are that Fightful spoke to, because if they're professional wrestlers, you know what they'll do. Even if it is Sean Ross Sapp, the big daddy, the granddaddy of wrestling journalism these days. No, he is. He definitely is. They'll try and do it, especially with Cody. We interacted with Cody a bit back in the day, and his mind for professional wrestling is very much old school. When it comes to working so-and-so and all that malarkey, he will do that. And especially when there's a surprise debut on the offing. Imagine a surprise debut when no one's expecting it. I'm thinking back to Shane McMahon's return. No one saw that one coming, and the world melted. If everyone's sort of expecting
so many people going, Shane McMahon's back, and then tuning in. Like, they hadn't watched in 20 years, but they tuned in when Shane came back. So
if I was Cody, I would want the buzz to be starting to cool around a potential return to WWE. So when it happens, your socks are knocked off.
Yeah. It's exciting. It's an exciting time to be a wrestling fan. But anyway, that has been your second dose of lovely weekend bumper, weekend wrestling, weekend news. I've been Sam Driver. This has been Ross Tweddle. And we have been Cultaholic Wrestling, Saturday news team for February 26th, 2022. I got the date right, I think.
Yeah, you did.
Bye.
Watch Straight to Hell with Chris Bay tomorrow.
Oh, God, yeah. Get it watched. Get it watched. Goodbye.